Krishna te Namaha. So you must be remembering that we had a discussion what is real in the universe. That is a part of Swami Vivekananda's lectures on Jnana Yoga, that is the way of discrimination. So we had not given the answer to that question because we were dealing with the how Swami Vivekananda is approaching the problem so logically and step-by-step method. So one discussion had gone in that. Today is the second part of that. Today we will answer that question. That what is real in the universe and what is really our nature. So both answers are the same, as you know, but how to approach it logically, that is what is important here. And without that rational approach, our minds can never be firmly convinced of that. Be convinced. Just by hearing, we may think, okay, what is the basis of that? Saints and sages have said that through the ages. But there should be a rational basis. So just a little recapitulation before discussing what is our topic today. So last time we had seen that Swamiji says, however substantial humans may think the external world in which they live and move to be, there comes a time in our lives when, sometimes involuntarily, we ask, is this real? To the persons who never find a moment to question the credentials of their senses, even to them death approaches inevitably, and he is also compelled to ask, is this real? Religion begins with this question and ends with its answer. The whole sphere of metaphysics, philosophy and religion is really filled with various kinds of answers to this question. So last time we had seen that when this question arises, it has to arise in the lives of everybody today or tomorrow. There are two positions which remain. One is to believe along with the nihilists that it is all nothing, we know nothing, that we can never know anything about the future, the past or even the present. And the other approach is to seek for the real. Now, we have seen last time that it is a significant fact that all religions without an exception hold that our present condition, what we are now, I am this body, I am thinking, I am eating, I am going, identifying ourselves with this psychophysical organ, this condition, all religions say that this is a degeneration of what we actually are, what our original nature is. So this we had seen through the mythology, fall of Adam, then the great flood, when everybody was put in a huge ship and carried to safety. And we had seen that according to evolutionists, man is continuously evolving. So what mythology states cannot be true. Man cannot be a degeneration of what he originally is. But mythology says that man is a degeneration. Religion says that man is a degeneration. So last time we had seen how to combine the theory of cycles, which Swami Vivekananda had explained so wonderfully. Now, today's discussion, in which we will answer this question, but to understand the answer, first we have to find the relation between our bodies, our gross bodies, with the hands, feet, etc., and also the subtle body, which is the mind. We have to find the relation between these two things and what lies inside them. So total three things are there. First, what lies in our innermost being. Second, it is clothed in a subtle body, which is the mind. Third, that is also enclosed in a gross body, with hands and feet, etc. So what is the relation between the bodies and the reality which is lying deep inside? So this means we have to know what is the relation between force and matter. Now two theories have been proposed. First, force creates matter. Second is matter creates force. So this means the question is, does the body create the soul, the Atman, or the soul creates the body? Upon the answer to this question will lie the answer to what is our real nature. So one side says body is the cause of manifestation of the force we call the soul. Another side says no, force creates matter. Matter cannot create force. So the religions of the world hold, of course, that force, the force called thought, manifests the body. Body does not create thought. Now let's see how we can answer this question. What is true? Does the soul create the body or the body creates the soul? So the materialists say the body creates the soul. Soul, they say that whatever soul or thought or whatever you may call it, they say it is the outcome of this machine, the outcome of the chemical and physical combinations of matter making the body and mind. So when the question comes, if something is a product of something, then those characteristics must be in that also. Suppose this building is created by wood, built by wood. So the characteristics of wood are there everywhere in the building. So against this view, if it is said that you say, okay, matter creates the soul, so some properties of matter should be in the soul also. It logically follows. So this has been answered by the materialists in a very intriguing way. The answer does not make sense, but it has been answered like that. What do they answer? In India, all of you know, we chew betel leaves. That is called palm. So Charvaks, the materialists, say that all of you have, I think, eaten palm at some time or the other. So what happens? When we eat palm, something red our legs become red, the mouth is red, no? So they say, see, if you open the palm, if you open that betel preparation, there is nothing red there. But when you eat it, your mouth becomes red. So something is coming from, although red is not there, red is coming from that. Similarly, they say, matter is creating the soul. So it does not matter whether qualities of matter are not there in the soul. Like the red color is not there in the palm, but somehow it appears somehow. That is an argument. But of course, that is no argument at all. So the thing is, the logical way to approach is, Swami Vivekananda tells us that, okay, for the time being we admit your position, that it is the body which creates the soul. The Atman is created by the body. Chemical combinations of the body create the soul. Suppose we admit it. Then the question will come, then what creates the body? This is the thing. This is the fallacy. You say that the body is creating thought, body is creating soul. Okay. But now tell us what creates the body? What force combines the molecules? You know, everything is made up of atom molecules, etc. So when this body is what? It is made up of molecules, atoms, whatever you call it. Now, when the molecules are combined to make the body, there has been a combination, there cannot be any doubt. Now, what force combines the molecules into the body then? If you say matter creates the soul, then you have to say also that some other matter is creating your body also. Because if you say some force is creating your body, then you are going against your argument. Because according to you, matter creates force. So what creates the body? What force is there which takes up material from the mass of matter around and forms my body one way, another body another way, and so on? What makes these infinite distinctions? So, to say that the force called soul is the outcome of combination of matter is silly. Because then what creates that matter? You have to admit that behind this combination of this matter, there has to be a force somewhere. That is the thing. So if you say some other force was the cause of these combinations, and soul was the outcome of that matter, and that soul which combined a certain mass of matter was itself the result of the combinations, it is no answer. Because where will you stop? You have to stop at force. You cannot stop at matter, because something is there which is combining the matter. So it is more logical to say that it is the force which takes up matter and forms the body, and it is now manifesting as thought. There is some force which makes this body, and that force manifests as our thought. So, to say that the thought forces manifested by the body are the outcome of arrangement of molecules and have no independent existence has no meaning. What is logical is force creates matter. Another thing is force cannot evolve from matter. Not even one example we can show that from matter force is being evolved. It is not possible. But on the other hand, it is possible to demonstrate that what we call matter does not exist at all. Matter is only a certain state of force. Solidity, hardness, or any other state of matter can be proved to be the result of motion. Increase the vortex motion imparted to fluids. If we increase them sufficiently, fluids have the force of solids. A mass of air in a vortex motion in a tornado becomes like a solid, and by its impact, it breaks or cuts through solids. Swamiji says a thread of a spider's web, spider's web we have seen. A thread of a spider's web, if it could be moved at almost infinite velocity, it would be as strong as an iron chain, and it would cut through an oak tree also. So what is happening here? The force which is imparted to this matter, it is completely changing the complexion of that thing. But we cannot show the other way around. We cannot show that force is evolving from matter. Not at all. It is easier to say, actually logical also, that matter, what we call matter, actually has no ultimate existence. It is only a certain state of force. Force is all that there is. But according to its state, it may gain the properties of matter. So this is something to think about. Something really worth our thought. So now, having proved that it is some kind of force which produces the body, the next question is that what is the force which manifests itself through the body? What is that force? It is obvious to all of us, whatever that force be, that it is taking up particles, manipulating forms out of them, the human body. Each person has got a different body. So this force is manufacturing the body from particles of matter. Is it not? No one else comes here to manipulate bodies for you and me. He says, I never saw anybody eat food for me. I have to eat. I have to assimilate. And it is I who have to manufacture blood and bones and everything out of that food. So what is this force? Some force is there. Otherwise, we cannot digest our food. Some force is there inside, which is digesting our food. From food, it is manufacturing the body all the time. Now, what is this mysterious force? What is the force which is now working through us? We are talking, thinking, doing actions. It is all a manifestation of force, is it not? What is that force? That is the answer to our question today. Now he explains again. We know how in old times, in all the ancient scriptures, this power, we all know in olden times, in the ancient scriptures, this power, this manifestation of power was thought to be a bright substance. Kumira. This manifestation of power was thought to be a bright substance, having the form of this body, which remained even after the body died, when the body fell. So there was something which is inside this body of ours, and that was thought to be manifesting this power. But later on, we find a higher idea coming, that this bright body did not represent the force. Why? Whatsoever has form, bright body also has a form. This, as we know, all of us know, that in the Vedanta, this is the gross body, Sthula Sharira. Inside it is the subtle body, called the Sukshma Sharira. So when we die, everything doesn't end. The subtle body goes out of the gross body. It leaves. So something which is coming and going, there has to be a form, has it not? So, when they first of all said that this subtle body was the force, afterwards they said no, this subtle body did not represent the force because it has a form. Whatever has a form must be the combination of particles, is it not? Whatever has a form means what? Particles have been combined to make that thing. So, there must be some other force behind that. If you say this building has been made, so did all these pieces of wood, all this glass, did they come themselves and combine? Cannot be. There has to be a force behind that. Is it not? If human beings came and did, there is a force behind the human beings also. There has to be a force somewhere. So now when you say that this subtle body is that force, it cannot be true because whatever kind of body may be there, it has some form, like this building. Anything which has form cannot be that force because it is a result of a combination done by that force. Just think, because these ideas are new to us, but if you think slowly, it will become clear. Again I repeat, whatever has form cannot be the force behind everything, because whatever has form is nothing but a combination of particles, whatever it may be in the universe. So if something is a combination of particles, there must lie something beyond it which combined that. Otherwise, who built that? So from what follows is whatever has form cannot be that force because that form has been made by that force. So cause and effect are different. I don't think it is yet clear.
Swamiji, you are saying the subtle body has a form.
Yes.
But
otherwise, how does it come out of the gross body?
But we don't know about that form.
You may not know, but what does it matter?
We're talking about Atman, right?
No, subtle body is not the Atman. Atman doesn't come and go anywhere. Subtle body comes and goes. It goes after we die, it comes out from the body, takes up another body. Then when that body also is destroyed, it goes out and takes up another body. So the question is, what we are discussing here, that subtle body is bright. So first, people thought the force behind our gross body is the subtle body, because when it goes out, the body becomes dead. But later on they thought, no, this cannot be possible, because like the gross body, the subtle body also has form. Otherwise, how can it come and go? Whatever has form is also a combination. If it is a combination, then somebody must have combined those things. Some force must have combined those things. So how can the subtle body be the force? Because it itself is a result of combination. So neither the gross body is the force, that is most obvious, gross body cannot be the force, nor the subtle body can be a force. Because like the gross body, the subtle body also has a form. And anything which has a form is itself the result of combination. And if something is a result of combination, that some force must be there which has combined that. So the force which has combined our gross body also has combined our subtle body. Therefore, neither the subtle body nor the gross body can be the force It must be something behind that, something which is manipulating both. That something is called the soul or the Atman. It is the Atman which, through the subtle body, works on the gross body. Subtle body means the mind, prana. There are many, that is the simple thing to understand now, it is the antakarana. Antakarana means the inner organ. That is, in simple ways it can be said that. So, our power of the Atman is working through first the subtle body, then the subtle body works through the gross body. That power is manifested in stages. First the subtle body, the mind, then the mind makes our gross body act. I am hungry. From where does this thought come? It is coming from the mind. First that, then, okay, I get up, get something to eat. So, the source, thought, is the source. And from thought, action arises. But we cannot say that the subtle body is the force behind all our actions. No. Because subtle body itself is a combination.
And
anything
processes keep changing, Swami.
Huh?
Thought processes keep on changing.
That is not the question here.
I know.
Question is here whether the mind is the force, ultimate force. It cannot be. Because the Sukshma Sharira, which is also the mind, Antakarana, that also has a form. Something which has form only can come and go. Is it not? Formless thing, how can it come and go? Where will it go? All motion is in space.
Invisible.
Yeah, we will see that. So, this is the first thing to understand. So, it is the Atman which, through the subtle body, works on the gross body outside. So, the subtle body is the receptacle of the mind. And the real force, the Atman, the only conscious principle, is beyond that also. It cannot be the mind also. It is working through the mind. And through the mind, it is working on the body. As all the big turbines, etc., driven by water, our Vijayji is an expert on that. So, if you say water is the force ultimate, it cannot be. There is some force, you can call it whatever it may be, electricity or motion or something, which is behind that water, and that water is driving that turbine. Water is just the subtle portion, the turbine is the gross portion. But water also cannot be the ultimate force because water itself is a combination. Same thing is happening here. So, each person has this force behind him. I have this force, you have this force, each one has a separate force. Separate till we are in ignorance, ultimately it is one. So, as far as our knowledge goes, each person has a separate Atman. But actually that is not true, which Swamiji will tell us. So, this much is sure that this Atman lies behind the gross body and the subtle body. Now, what is the nature of this Atman, this soul of man, which is neither the gross body nor the mind? So, a lot of discussions follow. In scriptures, you will find all sorts of discussions. Speculations are made, philosophical inquiry is there. So, the different philosophies seem to agree that this Atman, whatever it may be, cannot have a form or shape. If something has a shape, it must have a form. And whatever is a form has to be a combination of something. So it cannot be the ultimate force. So therefore this Atman cannot have a form. It is impossible because that form itself has to be a combination. And not only that, that form will have some limitation. Everything which has form is limited. And so it cannot have a form or shape. That which cannot have a form or shape, nothing can limit it. So it must be present everywhere. So the Atman is present everywhere. If something is present only in a particular latitude, means what? It has a form. This thing has a form. It cannot go beyond its form. That itself is a limitation. But if something is formless, what can limit that thing? Nothing can limit it. The more subtle the thing, the more pervasive it is. Is it not? It can enter everywhere. The more subtle. Here, our water is a big leakage problem, you know. If water starts seeping through, it is so easy to water to enter anywhere. Why? Because water is very subtle. Even subtler than water is air. But even air has a form, so to say. But here, there is no form at all. If there is no form, it is present everywhere. You cannot limit it by anything. So this Atman, the ultimate force, has to be present everywhere. The logical conclusion. Now after this, we have to see, in order to find the real nature of the Atman, we are proceeding step by step. See, how only force can create matter, matter cannot create force. First step. So the Atman is the force behind everything. Second step. Third step, the gross body is not the Atman, but is the subtle body an Atman? No, because subtle body like the gross body is also a combination. Anything which is a combination cannot be force, because force is that something which combines that thing. Fourth step, then Atman cannot have a form, because if it is a form, it will also be a combination. And that, then it leads to what? If Atman doesn't have a form, it must be present everywhere. Now, we proceed further. This whole universe is not composed of, in one sense it is composed of also. You can see the main factors or ingredients of the universe. They are space, time and causation. Now, to all intents and purposes, time, space and causation look like they are independent entities. Time is an independent entity, causation is independent, space is independent. But we will find that that is not true. They are not independent. First, time. Time begins with the mind. Time is but the method of our thinking. Time is merely the measure of our thoughts. It is very difficult to understand because it is an abstract thing, but once we reflect, we will find that this is true. So time, space and causation actually are the three conditions through which the mind is perceiving this whole universe. They are not independent entities. Time is the condition for the transmission of thought. and space for the vibration of gross matter. Matter vibrates inside space. And causation is the sequence in which vibrations are made, one after the another. A plus A comes to B, B comes to C. So that is one step after another. That is the chain of causation. So mind can only cognize through these: time, space and causation. So anything which is beyond the mind must be also beyond time, space and causation. Because time, space, causation can only exist within the purview of the mind. Time especially is entirely a dependent existence. It changes with every change of our mind. If you go to a movie, time passes very quickly. 2 hours gone. But now you are hearing to this lecture, you find that time is not moving. So this means what? Time is completely relative to our thought. It changes with every change of our mind. 1-2 hours we dream, we may become old from a young age in our dream. There is no sequence there. Sometimes several months pass in a dream in matter of 1 second. So if something is entirely dependent on something, how can it be called an independent reality? It cannot be. So time is entirely dependent on the state of our mind. So it is when the soul reflects its powers on the mind and the mind thinks that time comes.
So without the existence of any thinking body, time does not exist.
No.
Suppose the creation has just happened.
It cannot
There are
come.
some different galaxies, but there is yet no life form. There is no thinking, so there is no time in that context.
Whenever you say creation has started, immediately the factor of time comes. But if there is no one who will know what that is,
No one to perceive it.
so how can you say that creation has come? There has to be a perceiver. Who will say this it is creation? So if you don't admit of any perceiver with relation to who will say that there is a creation at all? There has to be a perceiver. And with the perceiver will come the mind, because it is the mind which is creating all these things.
Even Einstein proved this thing, Swami, like the general theory of relativity. That proves this only, that space and time are one thing, like they go together.
Yeah, they are all, and it follows that they are all dependent on the mind. Similarly, space also is in the mind, because anything which is in space has form. Naturally, this thing is in space, so it has to have a form. Space itself has a form. So the only two ways are there: either we are in space or space is in us. There can be only two things. But we have seen the soul is beyond everything. The soul is beyond time and space. So the concept of space also comes with the mind. It cannot be independent. If anything in space has to have a form. As soon as form comes, bondage comes. Because that form can be influenced by other forms. We have a body, so microbes can come, attack the body, and go to the hospital. But if there is no form, what will the microbes attack? So with form comes limitation. So space limits us, binds us, and makes a form out of us. And with this form start all the problems. So the thing is, now we are coming to the final stage. The thing is, what follows from this? time, space and causation cannot be said to be independent existence. Time and space we have seen. Causation is what? Causation is completely dependent upon time. Time is a dependent existence. It changes with every change of our mind. So causation is what? One thing after happening after the other. No. So it has to be in time. So if time is not independent, causation cannot be independent at all. It is completely governed by the sequence which happens in time. And another one peculiar attribute you find that time, space and causation cannot exist separate from each other. How? Is very easy to prove. Try to think of space without color, without limit, or without any connection to all the things around us. Just abstract space. Can you think of that kind of space? Just try, close your eyes and try. It is impossible. Because on the border of the space you will see some things. Some boundary has to be there. It is impossible to think of abstract space. You cannot. You have to think of a space between two limits, between two objects. It has to be connected with some object to have any existence. So with time, we cannot have any idea of abstract time. There have to be two events. One is before, one is after. So we join these two events by the idea of succession. This happened after this. So time depends on events, just as space depends on objects. And the idea of causation has no meaning without time and space. If something is happening, it has to be within time. So if time and space are not independent existences, causation can never be. This is the peculiar thing about time, space and causation. They have no independent existence. One cannot exist without the other. So they are like shadows. You cannot catch. You cannot go and catch time. They have no real existence at all. But you cannot say that they are non-existent, because through them all things are manifesting as this universe. This whole universe is nothing but display of time, space and causation. And the ultimate force, we have seen that it has to be beyond these things. It cannot be within this. If it would be bound. And since it is formless, it is infinite. We have seen that. Every form is a limitation. So, if something is beyond time, space and causation, it has to be infinite. These are the only things which limit everything here. A thing is limited by time. After some time it will cease to exist. A thing is limited by form. Form is continuously changing. So if something is beyond time and space and causation, what is there to limit it? It has to be infinite. Now, second thing. First of all, we said no, that you have an Atman, I have the Atman, he is a separate Atman. Atman is the force behind the gross body, subtle body. Now the question comes, if something is infinite, this is the highest speculation of philosophy. If something is infinite, can it be more than one? As if you speak of two infinities, both will limit each other. There cannot be two infinities. So if the soul is infinite, it cannot be two also, let alone be many. There can be, therefore, only one soul, one force, one consciousness behind all these things. Behind our gross body, subtle body, behind all bodies. And this infinite soul is the real man, the real woman, the real human being. This one infinite and omnipresent Atman. And what we are calling, I am a man, etc., this is only apparent. It cannot be the real man. This man is only a limitation of the real man. This means what? All the mythologies which say that man is a degradation of what is actually, now we can understand. The real man, the Atman, which is beyond cause and effect, which is never bound by time and space, is the ultimate reality. But somehow that has been forgotten. And we are thinking ourselves to be this matter. But we cannot be matter. It is impossible. Consciousness cannot be the result of matter. Matter cannot produce consciousness. But we are conscious. Without consciousness, there can be no force. Without force, there can be no action. So, the apparent man is a degradation means what? It is only a reflection and limited by time, space and causation. Whatever is limited is bound. It cannot be free. So, actually, we are not bound. We can never be bound. That which is omnipresent consciousness, how can it be bound by anything? It is formless. But even this bondage is therefore an illusion. Actually, it is not there. This is the reality. In the universe also and our nature also, because reality is one. If it is infinite, it has to be one. This is the reality. This is the reality in our souls. This omnipresence, this spiritual nature, this infinity. And there are not many souls. There can be only one infinity. So for infinity, there is no question of coming and going. Where will it go where it is not already? If there is a vessel full of water, completely up to the brim, can you make the water go anywhere there? Where will it go? Everywhere it is there. There is no coming and going for water in that vessel because it is present everywhere. So naturally infinity we cannot imagine with our mind because infinity lies beyond the mind. Our mind is a prison actually. It is bound by the time, space and causation. That's why we cannot think of infinity. But we can understand this much. In infinity there cannot be any coming and going. If there is no coming and going, there is no question of birth and death. How can we go and come anywhere? We are already everywhere. So the body is not the real man. The mind is also not the real man. Because the mind is changing. It is the Atman beyond which alone can be our real nature. It can be Atman alone which can never die. Only which is a combination is destroyed. How can a formless thing ever know any destruction? The body and mind are continuously changing, always in a flux, and are in fact only names of a series of changeful phenomena. Like river is flowing. So all the parts of the river are constantly in a flux, but it appears that the river is the same. The river is constantly changing. So any matter, anything with form, smaller or bigger, this whole building, whatever, you think it is there, it is not as it is. Nothing can be as it is. It is always changing. Sometimes the change is very fast, we can see. But otherwise, the change is happening all the time. So our hairs don't turn grey in a day, but they are slowly turning grey. So this is the thing. Each particle in this body is continually changing. No one has the same body for even minutes together. Yet, we think of ourselves as the same body. So with the mind, one moment the mind is happy, another moment unhappy. One moment strong, another moment weak. Ever-changing whirlpool. So both of these cannot be the Atman, which is infinite. Body and mind are changing, and only something which is limited can change. Infinity changing is absurd, it cannot be. We can move as limited bodies, coming here, going there. Each particle in the universe is constantly in motion. But taking the universe as a whole, where will it go? That is all there is. This is the thing. So this infinite Atman, this infinite unit is unchangeable, immovable, absolute. And that is the real nature of everybody, because it is only one. Our reality therefore consists in the universal, not in the limited. The more we cling to this limitation, the more we will go further from that reality. Limitation has to be given up. That is what is binding us. Someone is telling, get me out of prison. So when somebody goes to get him out, he is holding the rods of that prison with great strength. So he said, if you don't leave it, how can I get you out? You are clinging to that thing which is limiting you. So we are clinging to the mind and body. Why are we clinging? We want something from them. We want to have an ice cream.
If you leave, then you will be a Swami.
If we can leave this tendency to catch, always be attached to this limited thing, then only we can be free. This leaving is nothing but renunciation. It is not giving up for zero. It is giving up that which is zero for that which is infinite. That is God. So this is the beautiful way in Swami Vivekananda, step by step he takes us logically. Otherwise in the scriptures we could have just have read. In the Gita same thing is there. Achedyoyam adayoyam akledyo shoshevacha. Achedyo, it cannot be pierced. Adaya, it cannot be burnt. Achedyo adayoyam akledyo, it cannot be made wet. If you pour water in the soul, how can it be? There is no form. Akledyo ashoshya also, it cannot be made dry. Why? It is nitya. It is eternal, and sarvagata, it is all, everywhere it is there. And it is achala. Achala means it cannot be moved. Where will you move the infinite? So in this way, Swami Vivekananda explains us, and so that we can understand the scriptures much better. That is our real nature. And no one can take our real nature away from us. No one. So ultimately, all of us we are going towards that only. Today, tomorrow, after some years, maybe after many births, once we get out of this prison of mind and body, the work is done. No misery, no happiness also, because that is pure bliss. Not this happiness and misery which we know now. This happiness has to be followed by misery. You cannot escape. Nobody can escape. It is impossible. Because it is another name for misery. So that is the what I may call the speciality of Swamiji, that he explains us all these things to us such a wonderfully logical way so that we can go step by step and ultimately be convinced of the reality. So let us stop here. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri